Nate. There he is.
I can't get
Oh
over
shit!
it.
I gotta start again.
Every episode.
I gotta start again.
Why's that?
We're back. We're live. It's the Vacuous Perspective. It's me, Val. It's him, Nate. The dancing Nate. The jerking Nate. Yep, having a jig. Is that the Macarena? It is the Macarena.
Ah, yeah, that wasn't my favourite one.
Disgusting. I mean, it's good. About time it's brought it back. You know, it's about time. Bring it back. Bring it back. Now, I was looking for an interesting way to describe right now, as in where we are right now. Okay, not in terms of rooms or anything like that. I'm talking about, and I wanted to throw a particular lens on it, which is the determinism lens, so I can tell you with clarity that right now is the current input into the configuration of all things that will be from here on out. Right now.
Say what?
Well, it's got all the ingredients. This is all the inputs. Right now, the inputs, meaning the particles that are flying around, the
You think there's enough
molecules.
data?
Well, no, that is now. That's what I'm trying to describe. I'm not trying to talk about data or anything. I'm just saying a way to describe now is to say, look, this is where the algorithm's at currently. It's a constantly rejigging, evolving configuration, but right now are the current inputs into all that will be.
Okay, all right. That's deep. It's deep. Okay. So I thought you were saying
we'd start with
us
determinism
as...
and work from there because that's always
okay. All right. So obviously, what I'm going to say now, bananagram was always going to happen.
Well, no, it was
based on the series of events
based
beforehand.
off the inputs. This is sort of what I'm driving here at the moment. The inputs equaled bananagram. You felt like that was a very random word, a very free choice, right? That was a free choice to say bananagram. Have you ever said bananagram before in your whole life?
Is it a game? I think it's a game.
I don't know. I've never heard of it my whole life.
Marmosaur.
If you want to get philosophical with it, I got ChatGPT to do that for us. Because
about determinism.
Yeah, about the now.
Yeah.
And one of the things it said now is a
present moment.
Now is a mirror in which the entire past is reflected. So that's using determinism to look backwards in a way, which is something I'm fascinated by because I believe that if you can discover all the inputs and put them into a big machine, we can determine the future.
That's why I said we have enough data. If we got all the data that is now, we can actually work our way backwards.
We can, as long as no one knows you're doing it. Very important, because it's one of those scientific experiments that if you look at it, it changes.
One of those quantum
situations. If you
situations.
observe it, it changes. So,
don't look at it. Stop looking at it, please.
Yeah, it's not. So what I would say is that it's much more applicable to use that sort of technology to look backwards, meaning we can go back in time. Okay, I don't think we can go forwards based off what I just said about the observing.
Wouldn't it work both ways?
It should, but it has to be in complete secret. Only one bloke's allowed to know about it.
Yeah,
he guards it. It's in Ethiopia or something. I don't know. Right?
Let's put it with the Ark of the Covenant.
Put it with the Ark of the Covenant. Very strict guard, hand it down generation to generation, and that sounds like you've sorted it. But we'll start there. Now that we've got determinism out there.
Can't computers figure this out for us? In terms of what's going on, can't like a really sophisticated computer determine whether sort of it's all deterministic or
I'd say
there's free will?
Well, then. Moment to moment.
Or is it just a philosophical
I don't want
argument?
to. It's more philosophical, but look, moment to moment, it is, for lack of a better word, free will. It is. Every choice that you make is a free choice, more or less. Unless you're standing across from like Darren Brown or something, and he says pick a card, you're almost certainly getting fucked over. Yeah, exactly. But
you're getting fed that card.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pick a card, any card.
They're all five
Here is your card.
Oh fuck! I used to love Darren Brown. I used to get real into that.
I actually, he's one of the freakiest. To me, there's a couple of things that I don't understand that are spooky. one of them is the placebo effect. I put that in the very spooky basket that is just inexplicable. And then there's the things Darren Brown does.
Yeah, and other mentalists and people like that. Is he bullshit?
Is it tricks?
Is he bullshit?
Are there
Like,
tricks?
I just don't know.
The only way I can justify anything he does is actors.
So you're saying it's bullshit then?
Well, I can't believe it. I can't believe what he is doing.
You know how a show like I think it was The Ultimate Fighter. I was watching some Ultimate Fighter clips, and they said they had an ice hockey shoot off for the coaches challenge. They were just a penalty shootout between Stipe Miocic and Daniel Cormier. And Daniel Cormier couldn't skate on the ice at all. He needed help getting up. Every time he did something, he would fall over. And Stipe just starts out real strong, getting a couple of goals, and Cormier's struggling. But guess what? He wins the whole fucking thing. And he goes crazy, thinking, I'm the world champion of ice hockey right now. Okay. And he says, he looks dead at the camera, like in an interview after, and he goes, I swear to God, guys, this is not scripted. Like, we didn't bullshit this. When you have to say that, that's implying that, yeah, look, shit is bullshit.
Casting
is
some
bullshit.
Doubt.
It means that shit, bullshittery happens. And that's a bit too much peering into the curtain there. Now, if Darren Brown had any semblance of that, which he hasn't, he's never said, trust me, guys, this is legit. He's never done any of that. He's
but
still
if you
got
have
credibility.
a story, he has a lot of credibility. I'm not saying it's bullshit. I'm just incredulous.
You don't understand it. It scares you, and it's freaking you out, and you don't want to accept it because it's weird.
No,
and you don't understand
it's just freaking me out. It's a bit like when you see a magician do tricks, and they're doing sleight of hand, and you know there must be some trick to it, but you just don't know what it is.
Yeah,
that's what I feel because I don't understand how he's getting these results. So I assume there's something going on behind the scenes. But he says, I'm not a magician. I'm a mentalist or whatever. He's like a fucking psychologist.
They are
or
tricks.
Something.
He will tell you they are all tricks. Everything he does is a quote-unquote trick.
But he's not using sleight of hand or those conventional Penn and Teller type magician tricks.
No, he just touches your hand and tells you to give you all his money. Like, other way around. Give you all your money, and you just do it.
Yeah, and you just do it.
Have you seen the one where he pays with like blank pieces of paper? He just goes into shops and goes, he starts talking about the subway. That's how he does it. So he'll be like, he'll walk in and he'll say, I was a bit scared to take the subway, but people said, nope, just take it. And they just took the money. Yeah, and they're just, this is dangerous shit, in the wrong hands.
I think I would believe what they're doing if I saw a video of myself at one of those, what do you call one of those like hypnotism shows where you get up on stage and they make you a chicken?
Sure.
If someone made me do something against my will, all of a sudden it all makes sense. But
and
I
you
think
understand
until I experience that,
there's people who are susceptible and people who are less susceptible, and I think that's down to like belief in a way, or another placebo-y mind weird fuckery thing going on where the mind is just way more powerful than we really, realize what it can do.
I would like to know where I sit on the scale of
gettability
or whatever. Gettability.
Gettability.
It's not really gullibility because I want to believe a lot of these things, but I'm so skeptical that I don't know if I could bring myself to do it willingly. Like I want to participate. I'm a bit of a pleaser though. Like I'm a people pleaser, so maybe that works in his favor of being gettable.
Yes, of you being gettable.
But I just can't see myself being a chicken on stage just for his benefit, just to be like, I just don't want to. I want to go along with it so he's not embarrassed.
Yeah, well, with the big Darren Brown experiments, they vet everybody, as in they go from a group of 100 down to a group of 5. Do you know the guy who did the shooting of Stephen Fry when he shot Stephen Fry in the amphitheater? They went from like 100, I don't know if it was 100, but they went from like 50 people down to 5, and then they put them in the ice bath, and he just stayed in there. And Darren was like, you're pretty warm in there? And he's like, yeah, I'm fine, absolutely fine. He's like, great, yeah, all right, it's this guy. This is the fucking guy.
Distilled it down to the guy.
Yeah, he knew which guy or person he was looking for to shoot Stephen Fry. And he got him. And it's whack. And they show him the footage, and he doesn't even think it's real. He's,
he's in disbelief.
If that Darren Brown thing came out today, the guy could literally go, nah, you guys have like AI'd that. That's super easy to just shop me into that. Whereas back then, he was legitimately like, I need to like turn myself in or something. I shot a man. Like, what happened? It's crazy.
I saw Penguins, or that, that moist critical fellow, whoever he is, YouTuber, talking about VO3, I think it's called. It's like some kind of video.
It's
video
Google's
AI.
Video AI. It's freaky.
Jeez, that is freaky.
Weird. It's getting weird.
You actually have to now pay a lot of attention. So they were generating some kind
for
of...
how long?
Oh, like
for how long are we going to have to... Exactly, because in 5 months' time, it's going to be not discernible. It's going to get fucking weird.
I do think there should be regulations where you're required to stipulate that something is AI generated, because I think we need to distinguish between what's created by a computer and what's not.
I understand what you're saying. I think that in the metadata there'd be something to that effect. I think Google.
I don't know how to get to the metadata.
You won't be able to, but basically, if they post it on, say, YouTube will flag it because YouTube will scan it because it's all Google. Google's YouTube and Google's this. So if something like that went on the internet, I imagine that it would have a little tag on it that says this is AI generated because it's got this particular piece of metadata in there.
Okay. All right, that makes me feel better about it, assuming they do that.
Who knows, man? Who knows? It's going to get funky.
So I had a dream the other night that I wanted to talk to you about. First time I've ever had a dream that was set in the future.
Oh, okay. So you realized you were in the future, or you saw a newspaper or something?
No, it was when I woke up. I immediately told the wife because I wanted to try to remember as much of the dream state as I could.
Fresh. Yeah.
And I took a couple of little notes, but it didn't make sense. It made so much sense at the time. Then, of course, give it a couple minutes and you try and explain it, and nothing makes sense.
Yeah.
Essentially, I was in this military facility that was doing this experiment that was removing the consciousness of, they had, I guess, presumably in the past, removed the consciousness of people.
They're doing that now? They're doing that? Yeah, they're just doing that now? Oh, yeah.
They're doing that now.
Yep.
And the dream was set, at one point, I was in the military facility in the present day, and it had its paths and its roads and its buildings, its trees. And I was standing in a facility looking outside a window. The next thing I know, it's in the future.
Oh, they've downloaded your brain and popped it in something else, and now you're in a different body or something? Is that what's going on?
Basically, but the people around me, I got the impression, I had this astonished feeling looking outside this window, and the buildings were different. But the paths and the road layout still
You were
matched.
In the same place, just time had passed. You realised that.
Definitely. And the thing that really stood out is, there was a big space gun in the facility. Like basically a futuristic cannon.
Like
something
Death
you'd
Star
see in
shit.
Star Wars.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah, to a defensive, it looked like some kind of defensive unit.
Yeah.
And some of the, like Subiaco Oval, when they demolished it, they left the archway.
Oh, yes, you leave a bit. Yes.
Yeah, there was bits of the previous buildings left as mementos.
Jesus, the ancient times.
And the trees were completely different, but still, where the old vegetation was, there was like new style trees, like future trees. I don't know if they were like genetically engineered trees, or just they got them somewhere. If they like pine trees, or they wanted a fig tree. No, but the weird thing is I got the impression that next to me we were experimenting on removing the consciousness of someone from the past and putting it in a future body. And whilst this person's in the vat, they can do some kind of testing to determine whether this person is going to freak out or not, and whether he's going to be suitable in the modern world. I don't know how.
Interesting.
Analyzing brainwaves and stuff.
This guy won't be able to take it. Keep him under.
Meanwhile, I am in the future.
Correct.
And I'm someone that I regard as myself as being like a pasty. One of the past.
A bit of an expat.
An expat, but the people around me, I just had the impression they didn't know that I was a pasty. Like all of a sudden I'm in the future looking outside the window. We're talking about whether this guy in the vat can handle it or not. And they're like, no, we can't bring this guy in because he's going to freak out. And meanwhile, I'm thinking to myself, geez, I can't let on that I'm freaking out here.
Otherwise they're going to put me out. Yeah, right on.
But it wasn't sinister. I was quite happy. I remember the feeling of looking out the window and just seeing the, like, because it's in a dream, you can actually sort of in real time kind of go back and forward between the past and the present. And because I could like imagine, I was like, oh, it looked like this. And I can actually sort of visualize what it was in the past and go to the future.
Interesting.
I've never had that sensation before.
That's really interesting. And you're a weird guy when it comes to consciousness. Aren't you
Thank
just
you.
connecting potentially with your future self?
I don't know about that.
You need to watch the Three-Body Problem. That's what you need to do.
I've seen season 1.
Oh, you've seen as much as I have then. Fascinating shit. Fascinating shit. They do essentially do something like that. They do essentially do something like that in the show.
I don't really recall.
I'm going to have to watch
the
it
more
again.
I'm thinking about
I'm going
it.
to have to watch it
Is
again.
season 2 out of that? Because there's a second book.
I think they are doing a second season. The first season chopped. It did really well. They take too long to make things nowadays. It's not just Grand Theft Auto 6. They take way too long to make the next show. You know how you had that problem when you were younger, where they cast like a young adult in the main or in a minor role, and then they come back for the sequel in 3 years, 4 years time, and he's an old like, you know what I mean? Like there's that just. I get it. It takes a lot of time to make this stuff. You know, it takes a lot of time.
When do you think you'll watch an AI-generated film or TV series?
Oh man, I'll be so gutted when it happens.
I know.
Because I had that idea like as soon as I saw the birth of AI video, like Will Smith eating spaghetti, I was just thinking to myself, man, I'm going to be able to type into anything. Just give me a full movie. Just download it straight to my brain. Don't even put it on the telly. Just put it straight into my mind hole, and we're done. Like I thought that's how we were going to experience the cinema. Like now.
Sorry, Will Smith eating spaghetti.
Yeah, that was the famous sort of first meme of. So to show the evolution of AI generated videos, people reference this is how Will Smith looked like eating spaghetti just a year ago. AI video, and here's now. And it's a way
become the benchmark, the spaghetti.
Just because
Will
it was
Smith spaghetti
it had
benchmark.
such, well, it must have been around the Chris Rock thing, and it's more about like it looked ridiculous. Like it's just the spaghetti's flying everywhere. He's got two heads, you know, the mouth's wild, and it doesn't make any sense. All right, and people were memeing on it because like this is like what they're like. Oh yeah, you think AI is good? Look at this. Like it's not that good. You know what I mean? But it didn't take long.
I'm watching it. He's just like made out of spaghetti. He's got like a spaghetti face and spaghetti hair.
It's more of a dream. It's more of a dream version or an artist's impression.
It's really creepy. He's like the meatballs like merging. With his
it's
face.
awful. But now it's better. Now it's way better. But that's not
he's
the
in
benchmark
the bath with spaghetti. Yeah, he's like rolling around with a meatball. This is actually really wild. This is quite interesting.
But in my future, it'll be give me Al Pacino with Dustin Hoffman and do Hook again, but mix it with Major League 2 and get the catcher from Major League 2 to be a pirate. And it will just go, yeah, I got you. Here's the script. You approve the script. All right, come back in 20 minutes. Your film will be ready. That's the future. It's disgusting.
Yeah. What scares me is once AI advertising starts working its way into my algorithm, which is going to happen really soon, because that was really.
I mean, if you're scared of your algorithm, like as a lot of people are, kind of scared of, you know, what sometimes, you know, it feels like you're being spied on. Basically, that'll be times 10, times 100,
times 10,
times 1,000.
Yeah, but what's going to happen is they're going to merge things, right? They'll be like, this guy likes pancakes, girls, and fast cars.
Haven't you ever seen that happen?
Haven't you ever
seen that happen?
They're going to make an advert that incorporates all of them.
Oh, you mean like a targeted advertisement campaign for you?
Yeah, in real time. It will make a Weet-Bix ad that will hit all your, you know, your spots.
Yep.
And then it will do one for me that was also advertising Weet-Bix, but will incorporate all the things I like. Can
you see the Weet-Bix?
You know, I'll have like multi-grain Weet-Bix on, I don't know, in the basket.
What about products? AI products. It goes, this guy likes this, this, and this. Why don't we just make him this? And it makes you a fucking product.
Yeah, it'll probably make a product artificially or virtually, right? Going, he'll probably really like this. And when I sign up to get it, the ticket will go off to China somewhere, and then they'll be like, fuck, we got to make this thing. And then they'll
that's
3D
made
print
to order.
it.
Made to order.
Made to order, yeah.
Yeah.
So really, it's just whatever. And they'll just keep targeting me going, what's this guy want? He wants
but haven't you ever
Rubik's Cube
seen the algorithm do funky things like that, where you're like, where you see some video suggestion come up later, and it seems obscure, but you realize that it's put two and two together and gone, you will like this. This is brilliant. So, for example, right, you might have been watching Moist Critical, because I watch Moist Critical as well, Penguins or whatever. Yeah. Charlie. I'll be watching one of
Charlie?
his.
Who's Charlie? Is that his actual name?
That's him. I'll be watching like a video of his, and then I'll go off on a tangent, and then it will go, oh, he'll want, because I'll type in something, then it will be like, oh no, he'll want Charlie's take on this. So it'll find like a 2-year-old video and be Charlie's view on this or whatever, and I'll go, oh, I did want to watch that. Thanks algorithm, but it's still creepy and it feels invasive and all that sort of stuff, which it does.
I'm not sure if you're like, if I'm just dealing with a bot, like you might be AI for all I know. Because I mean, I just saw Will Smith's Spaghetti 2024 and it was pretty good. You recommended to me that Doom video called My House.
Oh, did you?
I watched the whole thing. It was
How
nearly
good
2
is
hours.
it?
Yeah.
How good is it?
Really good.
It's fucking
really good.
fascinating. Yeah. Not just from because did you play Doom growing up?
A tiny bit. I
You would
remember
have shot
the first
around
level
a bit.
or two.
Yeah, right on.
I don't know if I got the BFG.
Nah, that's probably a late game thing. I think that stood for big fucking gun, but is that true? Or is that just what people call it?
I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty
right
sure
on.
it is.
So the concept of My House, just to give the viewers a brief rundown, is that some guy made a mod of Doom called My House, which he based on his house layout. And when he passed away, the mother gave this floppy disk or CD or whatever to one of his friends and said, hey, he'd want you to have this. And he took it home and figured out, holy shit, there's a whole fucking game in here. And he ended up working on it and finishing it off and doing some things to it. And then it came out to public and it just got posted to a Doom forum. Hey, here's the download, play this. And people downloaded it and found out, holy fucking shit, what is this? It's a full game. It's a full game in one level of Doom that this guy made about his house. You want to pick it up?
Well, it's so trippy. It's just the doors don't really make sense. Like the layout is impossible. Like you go behind one door and it's like a void, and you sort of go around the door and open another one, and it opens to a corridor. So there's obviously that can't physically exist. And then the other thing I found interesting is he explained that all Doom levels
conform to a specific set of rules. In
a way, they're sort of like 2D in that there's no
underneath.
There's no kind of underneath going on, whereas this one does have. It's actually quite fascinating when he showed the layout of a few levels, and you realise that if you've played Doom before,
they're
that's
super
just
simple.
And I don't know why is that. Do you know?
So I have to sort of explain it visually, verbally. But if you go up a staircase in Doom, that's all it might as well be two-dimensional from a map perspective, but you feel like you're going up some stairs. So they can make the levels kind of interesting without stressing the system. Now, if you say, make a room underneath this that you can access from under the stairwell, that's impossible to do in Doom's current engine. But this guy put a basement in. And they can't explain. Well, they can explain. I guess they can explain it now. But he was doing
not
weird
just the
shit.
basement. Yeah.
Like
a
weird
lot of
programming
weird
stuff.
Very, very bizarre. I really enjoyed watching his playthrough of certain levels. It wasn't a playthrough; it's snippets of what he's doing.
So how the guy chose to go through it is he had his first journey where he went in blind. He didn't look up anything about what happens in the mod. He just went for it, and I guess he crashed out or found one of the endings. I think he did find one of the endings in the game, of which there are a few.
Well, the house burnt down, and he left. Then yes. So that's one ending.
His ending was he turned around, the house was gone. There was a for sale sign there. Then he said, second time around, I'm going in, but I'm using everything I've learnt. I think the third time he went full deep and looked up everything he could, like followed the forums as people were discovering shit. He was discovering it along with them in that timeline.
But the disc he got didn't just have the Doom game, it also had some document folders.
Yes, it did.
That had a diary and
Yes.
some other things which actually ended up being clues. Like, for example, what he
Super
realized after the
cryptic.
first playthrough that it sounded like he didn't want the house to be burnt down. So he realized he had to do what he could to make sure the house didn't burn down. And then he realized there's certain parts of the game that are accessible as long as you don't burn the house down.
Yes, and I think I now that you say that, that's actually really interesting, because one of the tasks you need to do to keep going in the game is fill up all the sinks. So you got to fill up all the sinks with water, and you can. There's also a book called My House or something where no, it's a book, weird book, surrealist kind of book, but every time the word house is mentioned, it's in this other color. It's in blue in this book. And the guy's posts, anytime he had house written, he wrote house in that different font color as well. So he was giving hints that, hey, this book is important. And that book deals with a lot of things that are in the game, meaning like weird uses of geometry, spaces, and things like that. But one of the things that came up in the journal is he says, I looked into the mirror and the mirror like winked back at me. So he felt like there was this other dimension going on in the mirror. The guy's tapped. But in the game, which is another little Doom trick, is you can go through the mirror. Like you can actually mount one of the one of the bathroom sinks or something and get into the mirror and go into a mirrored version of the house, which, if you imagine it like you did before with your top-down thing, seems quite simple, doesn't it? You literally mirror the map on the other side of the mirror, and it's not two maps going on, it's just the same thing. There's all sorts of weird shit in this mod, though. He's in this sky area for a while. He's got to collect all these different items. It's deadly. It's crazy. It's crazy.
So yeah, the book that he was referring to, or that you were referring to, that he was referring to, called House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski. Groundbreaking novel renowned for its experimental structure, layered narratives, and distinct use of colour, particularly the recurring blue text. Published in 2000, I'm just going to try and give you some context because I'm actually interested.
I want that.
Published in 2000, House of Leaves is a postmodern horror novel that defies conventional storytelling. At its core, it presents a fictional academic analysis of a documentary film called The Navidson Record.
Yeah, the
which
Navidson.
Chronicles Navidson, yes.
And
Navidson
that was the name of the realty company in the game. So when he turns around and sees the for sale sign, it says Navidson Realty. Another little hint that he's referencing this book. There you go.
And that documentary film chronicles a family's discovery of a mysterious, ever-expanding labyrinth within their home.
Wow.
This analysis is compiled by Zampo, a blind man, and later edited by Johnny Truant.
What a cool idea. What a cool idea. And that's sort of in the game as well. Walls move and stuff and become different things. I've always had that feeling. I think it's because I watched a lot of Narnia when I was a kid. You know, the Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah.
You know, you could walk into a wardrobe and there'd be an entire new world in there. These kids just need a video games, really, because that's a little wardrobe. You can enter a new world and experience it and all that sort of stuff.
Where does that motif of going through a mirror come from? Is there any show or film that you can recall from your childhood?
I can. Well, not from my childhood, but adolescence. That's The Matrix. You know, that's Neo looking into the mirror, and he touches it, and it goes all funky on him, and they go, "Oh, he's freaking out. He's freaking out. He's having a reality moment." That's the only mirror thing that I can think of, unless we're talking about magic mirrors. I don't know what they were up to.
I was just wondering why, because there's when I was 13, one of our mates' younger brothers was about 6. And when I was over their place, I was having a bit of fun with him, telling him that I've got a mirror at home that I can walk through and it goes somewhere. I don't know
Right.
where it was going.
The mirror
And he was
dimension.
really he wanted to come over, and he's like show, you know, he wanted me to show him the mirror. And like, I don't know, I'm just not friendly enough with my friend's very young, you know, brother to,
Well,
like,
what are you going to do? Bring him over your
and
house and
I
then
didn't
go like,
have
here's
it.
the
Yeah,
mirror.
yeah.
And
So every time I
well,
came
does it
over for
work?
a while, he was asking me about the mirror, and I was like, you start realizing it's not as fun after like the third time he asks you. You're just like, oh, no, yeah, this
Probably should have done
this joke. Yeah,
Just broke this kid's brain. Damn it. I mean, you know, it's completely believable. Understandable.
this is interesting. Adding another layer to the experience, Danilewski's sister, musician Poe, apparently her name, released the album Haunted, which serves as a companion piece to the novel.
Wow.
The album's themes and lyrics intertwine with the book's narrative, offering an auditory dimension to the story's
That's fantastic.
exploration of memory, loss, and the unknown.
It's crazy. It sounds like an interesting read. This guy obviously was a big fan, this Doom guy. When he wasn't playing Doom, he was reading this particular book. But it's crazy. You know, the guy who made Doom is this old bloke now, occasionally streams on YouTube the development of his new game called Sigil. And he got told about My House, and he has a My House playthrough where his name's John Romero. He has a YouTube video where he goes and tries to play through My House, and that's a wild thing. He doesn't go far enough to realize how gnarly it is, like how much they broke his game, but it's fascinating nonetheless that he sort of got wind of this thing.
So speaking of algorithms, that Doom My House video that you got me into then got Doom into my algorithm. And I started watching a fascinating documentary about a slaughter map. Do you know what a slaughter map is?
What's a slaughter map?
Essentially, it has thousands of enemies and heaps of ammo, heaps of life, and the idea is you just do a lot of killing.
Oh, okay. No, that doesn't sound... No. So are these like mods? I was never old enough to be into Doom to be at the point where I'd want to mod it. Do you know what I mean? It was always just like, I didn't even know that was possible.
It's like a map you can download.
Yeah, I didn't even know
make
that was
the maps.
possible. Yeah.
So there's this one guy called Okuplok, Okuplok, and he was someone that was regarded as a really good slaughter map player back in the day, but apparently he like got caught for cheating or something like that.
I love cheating. Gaming cheating scandals. They're amazing.
So all his records have a little star next to him because I think one time he got exposed, and now they just have to assume that he could have been cheating for any. So his name was ruined, but he had a good understanding of how good slaughter map operates. Okay, so he created one, and it's huge, and I think there's 20,000 enemies, but there's not that much. There's a reduced amount of life and a reduced amount of ammunition.
Like really hard. Incredibly
hard, to the point that people thought it was impossible, but then people started trying, as they do, to do the impossible. It's the whole story about this guy. He did it on intermediate, and he said there is no way it's possible. It took him a long, long time, and he said there's no way it's possible on hard, where you take more damage and there's less ammunition. And people get together and they talk, because what they did is you play to a certain point and then you save the game.
Okay.
And the only way people could do it is by restarting and trying certain parts again and again and again. And eventually people would get through and they go like, oh, it only took me 150 restarts, but I've completed Okuplok.
Yeah.
Or whatever. So someone wanted to do it without one restart. Just a clean run.
How do you do that? When you die, don't you just go back to the start?
You don't die. Yeah, exactly. So you can't die. You have to do the whole level. You have to take out the 20,000 monsters. There's armies of them, and they're in configurations and rooms that make it really difficult.
Jeez. And then, you leave it to the speedrunners to sort it out. You know,
and there's forums about how you can sort of glitch certain things, but because it's created by someone who understands the movement of large numbers of enemies, it's done in a really good way. Because it's not just like me making a map; it's someone who had a
very good understanding of the mechanics.
Yes, and so someone did it. It took them just over 6 hours. And hearing this nerd,
Nerd out.
nerd out when he does it is pretty exciting. So I'd recommend looking at.
It's in the algo now. You're doomed up. I mean, that just came across. I can't remember. Someone might have linked me that a couple of years ago, and I've watched it many times. The My House thing. It's amazing.
Oh, okay.
It's amazing.
Trying to get some information on this Ocoplock fellow.
Yeah, I watch a lot of speed runs actually. They'll do like San Andreas in an hour and 40 minutes or something crazy. I watch a lot of evolution of speedrun videos because someone will just discover an exploit that completely breaks the game, and then the records just start tumbling. Like, it'll go from a 6-hour record down to a 4-hour record, down to a 1-hour record, down to a 2-minute 40 record. You know?
As they find better glitches. And I was watching a Donkey Kong speed run after the Doom.
The most recent one, Oblivion, just got remade, and people were using all the same old exploits that they used 20 years ago. And this guy did. It was an Oblivion speed run in something like 3 minutes 40, right? And this is a 60-hour game, right? And he's doing it in 3 minutes 40. And for the first minute and a half of the run, you're just stuck in this cell where you can't do anything. You just have to stand there. You literally just have to stand there. And
Is he glitching out against the sides?
He's not doing anything. He's just standing there. And I'm just thinking to myself, this is the bulk of your run. How do you finish the game if you're just standing still for the first minute and a half of this 3-minute speed run? But they do it. It's freaky. It's freaky stuff. And they just broke it. You know what's funny is, with Super Mario Maker, you can make impossible levels, but you can't submit them to the online sphere for other people to play until it is completed by the creator. So gnarly runs have been done where it's impossible. Like Super Mario Maker, imagine if I could just make... You've played Mario. You know the things that fall from the top? If I could just make a map where they all fall at once... Yeah. But there is a pathway that is, 0.01% chance you'll get it, that you can make this path. As long as you can make the run once through your created level, it can go on the internet, and then people can try and beat it. And there's a guy called Video Game Donkey, who tried to beat like the ones that had the lowest clear rates, like 0.101% of people have made it, and he'll have a crack at it. And you watch, man, it's gross. Like he has to be pixel perfect for 2.5 minutes. It's wacky.
Oh man, I'll check it out because I do like watching Faker play games that aren't League of Legends. Have you seen Faker's screen when he's playing League?
I have. I've talked about it before. I think it's disgusting. He's literally like playing, and so he's in lane, and then he'll go and have a look at top, then he'll have a look at bottom, and then he'll check his Instagram. And then he'll log into Skype and like have a video chat with his mum, and then he'll order food. The screen
looks like it's glitching.
It's gross.
It just looks like it's glitching out. You're like, what are you even watching? I can't understand.
I
don't even know where his character is.
He's got never. He's getting so much information all the time. He's just filling his head. I mean, it must be a nightmare in there. It must be a nightmare to be Faker. I don't wish that on my worst enemy. He sounds awful. But yeah, he just can't stop clicking. He's got clicking. This is why these guys retire at 25 with, carpal tunnel and fucked up hands, because you can't keep doing that every day. These guys are athletes, athlete clickers.
Wonder if Faker has a girlfriend yet, because he didn't about 10 years ago.
What, has he had any love interests?
None reported. He does love SKT though, the team. He got offered huge money to go to China, and he was just like, "No, man."
Oh, he makes more money streaming. He'd make more money streaming.
He's not publicly known to be in a romantic relationship. Through his illustrious career, Faker's emphasized his dedication to the game, often citing the demanding nature of professional esports as a reason for his single status.
So he's a player. He's playing the field.
He is purely a player.
Yeah.
Quite simply.
Why are we talking about his girlfriend? He doesn't have one, first of all. But what are we doing?
I'm just invading his personal life.
Yes, that's what I thought. Yeah, he's what a hero, what a guy.
In a light-hearted comment, Faker once remarked that he would intentionally lose to his girlfriend in games, showing a playful side to his otherwise competitive persona.
On the other hand, I can't talk right now because I have to win League of Legends championships.
but he's never had a girlfriend either, so he's saying that if I wasn't a girlfriend, I'd lose to her.
Yeah,
just to make her feel
she
good.
can have a win. Oh, that's gross.
Faker's commitment to his craft has solidified his legacy as one of the greatest gamers in esports history. He's actually giving up his life.
Faker is announced as the first inductee of the League of Legends Esports Hall of Fame. Now,
the first one.
He's the first inductee of the Hall of Fame, and that's pretty apt, isn't it? That makes sense.
I would have thought that there would have been players that have played in the past that have retired and also warrant a spot in the, but obviously it hadn't been created yet. It's nice.
You can't have a Hall of Fame in the first few years. You can't have a Hall of Fame after 2 years.
This isn't the first few years, though. They've been doing it
10
for
years.
20 years?
Nah, more like 11, right?
15?
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, Faker's been playing for... He's at least won in 2015. He won...
13.
So he won 12 years ago. So he was playing it for a while before then.
It's amazing. Well, he probably wasn't. He was playing StarCraft, wasn't he? Wasn't he a StarCraft guy?
Oh, that wouldn't surprise me. He would be well suited for StarCraft.
Yeah, he's playing it on the side when he's winning championships. Kind of like how Max Verstappen, when he was winning the championship a couple of years ago, he was driving, but he was also playing on a PSP in the car while he was flying around in the F1 car. He was fucking winning championships online. At least that's the rumor.
So, yeah, he debuted in 2013, and he was world champion in 2013.
Yeah.
He's appeared in Worlds 8 times, but that's not making it to finals. He has won 4 world titles. So appearing just means, I guess, I think Worlds just means making it 2 worlds, which is only 16 teams. Like, you have to finish in the top 3 or 4 in Korea.
Winning some regional stuff, yeah, exactly.
And so they won... I thought they won last year. This is saying 2023. So maybe the year they won must have been 2023.
It was the last one. It was the last one.
This could be ChatGPT could be wrong. So
maybe they don't do the years like every other thing. Maybe it's maybe 2024 is now.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
The season.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Season. Yeah, I know what you're saying. But they went to a best of 5 in their Korean league to finish 4th. So there was a playoff between 4th and 5th, and it went to a best of 5, and they were well down before, and they came back, won that, and ultimately won Worlds.
Wow.
What was the likelihood of that? So he's played over 1,000 professional games.
Those are rookie numbers.
Over 3,000 kills in the LCK, being the Korean league.
Rookie numbers.
But you need some comparison. He's got first player in LCK history to achieve 1,000 kills, 2,000 kills, 500 wins, 800 games. But
it's the longevity as well. It's the longevity as well,
yeah.
Because guys who started in 2013 are not still playing. Besides, Faker.
He has played over 70 unique champions in pro play. That is absurd. But he plays whatever's strong as well, so that makes sense.
He's also just good at everything. Did you hear that stat? It was a few weeks ago now, but they said that there's a bloke from the Gold Coast who's played more away games than Scott Pendlebury, or games outside of Victoria as Pendlebury, and Pendlebury's been playing for over a decade.
He's played at more separate venues than Pendlebury.
And he's a second-year player or something?
I think he had, second-year player.
Yeah.
He played at 14 different venues or something in that order, and Pendlebury had played, 13.
I understand part of that because if you're a new club, getting around a bit is probably good, right? Get around. You want more home games though, right? Because you make the dollary dues at home. It's not about home games, right? It's just games outside of Victoria that
You just want to be hosting. Like, for example, North Melbourne sold one of their home games.
Yeah, to WA. Yeah.
Yeah, but then they get the money from it. They get the sales from the tickets, but they just don't get many in Melbourne, so they're forced to go elsewhere. So they're bringing a game to Bunbury.
Yeah. That's cool.
That's soon, actually.
Yeah,
that's
that's
really
cool.
soon. I wonder if there are tickets there.
I think there's 12,000 tickets. So I thought to myself, dude, well that would just go, wouldn't it? Wouldn't those tickets just go? I don't know. Maybe I'm overstating it. But
I think it will sell out pretty quick.
I would have thought so. Plus, it's such a big clash. It's such a big clash.
Sorry, I just want to get on Faker's case now because he also has the most deaths in history.
Oh, well, that's just unacceptable. That's the worst stat. Cloudy days.
And
he's
he
got
did
the most
win
cloudy
last year, by the way.
days.
He's got, now it's updated and it's telling me he's got 5 world championship titles, including last year.
Wow, he's got another one just then, did he? Houses in my trousers. Another one. Chuck it on. You watched the footy? That was pretty rough.
Which one? The Eagles? Or?
Yeah, the Eagles. The high flying
Yeah.
Eagles, man.
I just didn't watch the Eagles. They lost, didn't they?
Yeah, they played in
competitive
Adelaide.
at halftime. Yeah.
Yeah, they were doing it. Just didn't do it.
I was doing the HBF run and then caught up with a friend.
Yeah, nice.
Did a 12K back into some running.
You're back in. I thought you were done.
Oh, with swimming, yes.
Swimming's done.
Mm-hmm.
So you're doing like the evolution of life thing. You're out of the water now. Got the legs. Now it's leg time.
So I became a fish. Now I'm evolving back into being a land-based mammal.
Well, I'd say that's probably a good idea.
I'm sort of doing the opposite of what whales did. So whales were fishes to begin with, or like, wait, were they a fish? I don't know, but they have hip bones. Whales started being on land for a while.
Gave up.
Hip bones. Gave up and then went back to the ocean.
Yeah, fuck off.
And they evolved into a whale.
Isn't that cool though? Because that would be why they would have developed the other things that are important for their marine survival, meaning, the blowhole stuff, and we can hold our breath for an hour. That was just from probably millions of years of them challenging each other to hold their breath for the longest, and a couple didn't make it, I'm guessing. But dolphins are mammals as well, so dolphins very similar to humans.
I wonder if they have the hip bone as well. So ChatGPT telling me that whales were once land-based animals. The presence of hip bones in modern whales is compelling evidence of this evolutionary history. 50 million years ago. So that was actually after
the dinosaurs.
The end of the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
So they were land-based during the dinosaurs.
And after.
No, they were land-based during the dinosaurs. Then 50 million years ago.
Yeah, but that's after. That's after the dinosaurs.
That's after.
So before and after the dinosaurs, whales were presumably kicking around, doing what? Do you reckon they just felt pretty? Do you reckon it was like seals? How seals sort of mount the shore and just hang there for a bit and then go, "Fuck this! This sucks. Let's get back in the water." At one point, you know what?
What?
This whole beaching thing makes way more sense if they were land mammals. They're coming. Yeah. They're giving it a go. They're giving it a go. They're having a crack.
They have some deep feeling of.
You know how they say
connection to the land.
Yeah. You know how they say we don't know why they do this. ChatGPT does. They're bloody just having a crack at doing what they did for ages. We're trying to push them back in the water, and they're going, bloody man, keeping us down as usual. They're sick of harpooning us now, but they don't want us on the land. They don't want us on the land at all. That's really interesting.
Apparently, there's no scientific evidence directly linking whale beachings to their ancient terrestrial origins. Oh,
good. You've already pumped that out. Oh, well, that's good. But how about this? They found. How they find.
They're not trying to go home.
You know how they found whales in the desert and stuff, and they go, they must have got picked up by a hurricane. It's like, well, not necessarily anymore. That could have just been where they lived and died.
And I mean, and land moves. It could have been.
Yeah, could have been ocean. Well, the whole of Australia more or less looked pretty ocean to me. Like,
Yeah.
mostly
I mean, all
salt
sedimentary
land,
rock was rock that was formed underneath
the
the
entire
oceans by
desert.
sediment.
Yeah.
It's a good question though, isn't it? It's kind of sexy.
It's an interesting line of inquiry.
Oh, I heard something sexy actually just on the way in the door today. I was listening to that. He's a pretty loopy dude on Joe Rogan. He's got some kind of basis or career in paranormal things. His name's Hal Puthoff.
I'm put off by that a little bit. The name.
Yeah, Hal Puthoff. He's a physicist researching energy generation, space propulsion, and other related topics. He's the president and the CEO of Earth Tech International. That makes him sound quite upstanding, but he's got some really interesting. He's been involved in some very interesting research about paranormal things, which is hard to believe, other than the fact he claims to be a scientist who says be as skeptical as you need to be. I was skeptical, and I've been dragged along this path, being skeptical all the way. But anyway, he mentioned that one of his, what do you call them? Remote viewer. He had this remote viewer who came to him and said, "This is going to sound absolutely insane in isolation."
It is.
He said that he discovered a UFO base in his remote viewing journeys.
Is it on the moon?
And he said, no, it was in Mount Zeal, Australia.
Oh.
And he said he contacted someone, and they said, before he even said anything about what he was interested in Mount Zeal about, he said, "Oh, are you interested in the UFO sightings there?" or something like that.
Wow.
I've never heard of Mount Zeal, and all I did is chuck it into Google Maps, and I saw it's in Northern Territory.
Interesting.
So
yep.
I'm going to ask ChatGPT about it and get
well,
back
that
to you.
seems to be like, a pretty good place to start these days. And I do want to talk to you about something else JRE related a bit later. Because
I don't want to prompt. ChatGPT probably knows what I'm into, but I've just asked, what do you know about Mount Zeal?
Yeah.
It's a key location in the classic Super Nintendo RPG Chrono Trigger.
Hell yeah. Got some Chrono Trigger fans in the house?
Okay, stop.
No, that's fine. That's a good place to start,
What about the one in Northern Territory, Australia? Because I'm hoping that it says it's known for, UFO stuff.
Right. And
Zeal. It's Zeil.
It is, yes.
The highest peak in the Northern Territory.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting is we have that Pine Gap, that military facility out in the middle of Northern Territory as well. I mean, that's unrelated, but I just thought I'd mention military facilities and UFO sightings kind of go hand in hand.
Yes, weird stuff.
That's all pretty boring. 155 kilometers west of Alice Springs. The mountain is located in a remote and rugged area. I need to go there. It's quite a long way away. Access, unusual mentions. Okay, here we go. Mount Zeal has been mentioned in discussions about unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP. In an episode of the Joe Rogan Experience,
I know, that's what I've
physicist Harold E. Puthoff referenced a CIA program that identified Mount Zeal as a location of interest for secret alien bases. Additionally, its proximity to Pine Gap, a joint US-Australian defence facility, adds to its intrigue. Okay, well, the only thing I can find corroborating it is the very man himself.
Yes, the episode. And if you go on Mount Zeal's Wikipedia page, not much is mentioned of it, apart from how it was found and named. And then it says UAP, unidentified aerial phenomenon, and it just says on an episode 2314, which sounds as current as it is, of the Joe Rogan Experience, Harold Mr. E. Puthoff referred to a CIA program called Stargate Project that identified.
So he's creating his own narrative. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but it's funny how the only things we can find about it are things. How quickly does the internet update, though? I mean, this happened probably a week ago.
ChatGPT, when it first launched, it didn't know anything prior to 2019. Now it knows everything. So
yeah, I didn't realize it would be this up to date.
Now it's up to date. Yep. Okay, so I did some homework. I watched the Zahawi episode of JRE on your recommendation.
Oh, yeah, what'd you think? Yeah.
as disappointing as you made it out to be, in a lot of ways, full transparency, I didn't watch the actual episode. I watched it with a friend, not a real person, a YouTuber who was watching it and commenting on it. I wanted someone else in the room because I'm not going to call out Zahawi for saying anything particularly dumb because he's got 50 years in the field and I have 0. So I need someone who's got a bit of street cred in archaeology or just this kind of thing to be there with me so that if I have questions and he's got the same one, maybe that'll help me understand it better. So I watched this guy do an analysis of the conversation, and
who was this guy with the street cred? Out of curiosity,
he's a YouTuber. I can't remember.
That's all right. That's fine.
Who it was, but there was a bunch of people making these reaction videos because the episode turned out to be pretty unhinged. Joe Rogan referred to the episode as the worst episode of the pod ever on the next one.
Really? I told you.
And I did say
painful.
I did say that if Joe did hate it, he's not going to keep that inside. He'll talk his truth no matter what. And he did say, that was pretty bad. I didn't enjoy that. But then he started talking about the pyramid spirals, and I was like, no, man. Like, don't go there. Don't go into the unverified as a way to say he's not looking at anything. That's not where you start. It's much
that
more
wasn't
entrenched.
near that. That
it's much
wasn't
more
near
entrenched
the
than
start
that.
of the episode. That was probably midway through the episode.
What I mean is, Joe was talking to this other guy, this Aaron Rodgers guy, and he said to him, said to him,
right,
because
Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback.
Yeah, the quarterback.
Aaron.
Yeah, Aaron. He had some weird ideas too, and Joe was loving it because he was loving the pyramid stuff. And there's a difference between going like, that's weird. Like, if that's where it's going to end up as that's weird, we don't have much to talk about there.
No,
but
I just want to also quote my message to you last Tuesday after I finished. I said that Zahi Hawass podcast was one of the most painful things I've had to listen to in a while. If I wasn't super interested in the subject, it would be physically impossible.
I completely agree with that. Because as a big Egypt fan, I'm into it because first of all, I want to know what he's saying, because if this is the X or X voice of ancient Egyptian canon, I want to know what his opinion is.
That's why I listened to the whole episode. That's why I listened to the whole thing. Despite how painful it was, I wanted to hear everything he had to say. Everything. I wanted his position to be fully explored within the confines.
And Joe
of
gave him
episode.
so much space to do that. He gave him so much space and said, "Hey, man, if you like, this is it. Like, for if you want to get your shit out there, forget about plugging your book. Get it on now, because we can put it on the screen now for the people. There's millions of people who will see this. This is when you don't say it's in the book. This is when you give him the stuff, man.
Yeah, give him the full download.
Yeah, give him
the
dump. Give him the dump. Dump it on him. He didn't convince me of much, like you were saying. It was not very convincing, and I don't think that, like I said, I think last week, you can be not convincing sounding and still be speaking facts and truth. Like the way you sound, it doesn't trump what you're saying. So, look, I found him it was laughable at some point when he made some claims like he's the most open-minded Egyptologist, and even Joe kind of looked at him like, come on, man, for real? I think here's my understanding of open-mindedness, and this is what I'm applying as my metric, is if you can't look at something before immediately shit-canning it, like if your knee-jerk reaction is to shit on something rather than explain why it's wrong, that's not being open-minded. And that was Zahi the whole episode. He was just shitting on ideas and saying he did this and he did that. There must have been people on his team going, oh yeah, he cleared all that shit. He did all that. Yeah, one guy. Yeah, sure, I didn't do jack shit. There must have been people just like pissed off listening to that. Anyway, there wasn't much that I learnt from it, which is really, really sad, because I was hoping to actually learn some shit. But
I was so pumped when I saw his name on there, because I quote I don't quote him, but I know that he represents a more standard textbook position, and I sometimes I go down off the rails a little bit, and I get excited by more left field ideas. And so I was like, this is great. This is just going to bring me back into line. And I'm open minded in the sense that I totally understand. I've got no idea what's going on, and I will believe whatever is most compelling to me. I can't verify anything, but I can put things through my own version of the bullshit test and see what I think makes sense and what doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and I said last week,
and how much weight to give certain evidence. I didn't find he wasn't convincing me of anything.
Yeah. But and like I said last week, we as humans are not full bottle on the last 200 years of history. We got a pretty good idea because we wrote most of it down. But there's still stuff we don't know. To say that we know everything about a civilization that lasted a few thousand years or more is preposterous. And to say I've looked at every grain of sand on the Giza Plateau is silly to say that. It ruins your credibility to say dumb shit like that. Anyway, so I found it to be like pretty hard to listen to, but easier because this dude was on for the ride and having a bit of a giggle along the way, and some of it was pretty laughable, man. And this is my other point, right? Anyone who's like, well, not anyone, but if you're that good at smoking cigars, you know what I mean? Like he was puffing on that cigar, absolutely loving it, right?
Yeah.
He knows how to smoke a cigar, okay? He's been doing it for a long time. It's like the AFL thing. If you look really good as an AFL player, I question your commitment to being the best AFL player you could possibly be. Yeah, there's look good, feel good, but I think he spent a bit too much time in the cigar lounges and not enough time combing the sands of the Giza Plateau. That's what I'm saying.
And this is why I have so much respect for Faker as a player. He's given up his
girls.
chances of being, in a relationship just to be good at his occupation.
Well, he's
committed. He is committed to the cause.
It's weird though, isn't it? It's weird though, isn't it? Because if an AFL player was like that, here's Buddy Franklin arriving to his 10th Brownlow night, alone again, because he's famously won't date or, do anything like that while he's in his playing career. But afterwards he will. But here he is again, rocking up alone or with his mum, like whichever's sort of happening. They've all got girls, they've all got girlfriends and wives and stuff. It's hilarious. And mums. They're bringing their mums too.
I like that. I like that a lot. I did sympathise with, it's clearly not Zahi Hawas's first language. English is clearly not his first language. It's obviously a lot harder to communicate.
Yes. But to a caveat to that, he has made about 50 Egyptian documentaries in which he speaks English in all of them because that was the audience they were written for. So he can speak English. I understood everything he said. Yeah, there was he even corrects Joe on how to say his name, which I found really funny. He's like, it's like Zahi Hawass or whatever. And the guy who was watching this YouTube clip found that quite funny because throughout the whole episode he's calling him Joe, like Joe. And Joe, Joe didn't go Joe, man. It's not Joe. It's Joe, man. It's Joe. Okay, bro. It's like, you know what I mean?
At the beginning, he also says, I can call you Joe, yeah, and you call me Zahi. He's like, that's great. Like, of course. Mr. Rogan and Mr.
Give him his full title.
He clarified that with him.
Full title, yeah. That was
obviously
really
he just
sad.
Doesn't want to offend him. Yeah,
it was really sad. But they talked about some stuff. They talked about the Void. You did hear about the Void.
They did talk a lot about the Void, and that sounds very much confirmed because I was wondering. I'd heard of it, and I just didn't know to what level of confirmation. But again, I don't believe a lot of the stuff. Obviously, that's mainstream that there is a big void up there, but we haven't tapped into it though.
No, they're getting
the size of two
trucks,
semi-trailers, yeah, above the Grand Gallery. We need to get in there. Why are we so? I'm not saying destroy the whole structure at all. Of course, I'm not. That's just insane. But why aren't we being a bit more proactive with let's do things safely? But let's excavate these things.
I understand. Obviously, when you're dealing with something this old, you got to be extra
careful.
Get into it. Got to be extra careful. No, get in. Yeah. Get in. By all means, get in. Drill a hole into the void from the outside. Let's just have a peek. Let's just get a camera in there. right?
Yeah, we blew our way in. I know it was a long time ago, but we blew our way in through
I found
huge
it
amounts of limestone.
preposterous. I found it preposterous that he would say something like, had a look at every grain of sand on the Giza Plateau, and then say, oh, we found something just 3 weeks ago. We just found this 3 weeks ago. And I'm like, what? Was that the last bit of sand?
Did that culminate the last let's
grain?
lift over this little bit. Oh, there it is. That's the final discovery. That's it. Case
That's
closed.
the problem you're going to have with people like me who are going to like argue with you on semantics and say, yo, bro, if you're still discovering stuff, that's probably indicative that you haven't done every grain. I know it's sort of a figure of speech. You know, you're just saying you've been there a while, and you have. No, you're the GOAT, right? He's the GOAT.
But he was saying it in a way that my authority trumps anyone else's because I've looked at all the grains of sand.
I've got the only right idea of how they built the pyramids, and everyone else is wrong.
It was embarrassing.
That's another thing that he said.
It was embarrassing.
So even people who slightly agree with the whole ramp theory, they're wrong? Yes. Wowzers in my trousers. That's the arrogance outrageous.
He's the least open-minded person I've heard about this, and I can understand why he wouldn't necessarily be open-minded, because he is the authority.
Of course.
So
it all comes back to him. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe he's been surrounded by too many people that just sort of say, I don't know. It was frustrating, but I still enjoyed it because it's the subject matter to me. I found it fascinating how uncompelling he was. What's uncompelling? What's a better word for that's not a word? He just couldn't sell me on anything really, which I found that fascinating. I was like, man, if anyone is going to be able to sell this, it's this guy, because he's looked at every angle, but he definitely hasn't.
Yeah.
What if the pyramids were in America? What do you think? Would you think there would be more activity with the archaeology? Do you think these things would have been explored in a more open,
depends on how deep it goes.
Manner?
It depends on how deep it goes, because anything that challenges people's understanding of being, meaning like, let's say the craziest is true, and we discover that. No, they did figure out the afterlife. The old ancient Egyptians, they had it all worked out. They were pretty scientifically minded. They figured out a whole bunch of stuff. If it changes, it's a bit like AI, the threat of AI as a existential crisis that we're going to have to sort of grapple with. And the UFO stuff, same thing. Anything that changes people's paradigm is going to be quite resistant. People are going to be resistant.
Okay, so do you know in ChatGPT, if you click tools, there's run deep research button, so you can type something in, you can click on tools and you can click run deep research, and it thinks about it a lot more and gives you like a more robust, fulsome answer.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to ask it, what do you think is the possibility of the afterlife? In inverted commas.
Jeez.
Whatever interpretation it wants to take of that.
ChatGPT.
Yep. And then I'm going to tell it to put its thinking cap on.
How funny is that like we as the input can decide, hey man, I know you just love spitting out shit all day, but I want you to really think about this one. Like, I don't understand how it would go into, entering thinking mode. I understand it's running a different sort of program, if you like.
Computation. So it started off with, that is a profound question. Oh, could you clarify the perspective you're most interested in? That's right. It normally does ask you some clarifying questions, so it can actually give you a better response.
Well, the more info you can give it, the better, probably.
I want scientific. It says scientific or neuroscientific views, for example. So could you clarify what perspective you're most interested in? Philosophical arguments, reported near-death experiences, or anecdotal evidence. It's hard to say. I just want whatever the most compelling reasons and arguments are, in your opinion.
Yeah, go for your life. Have a fucking crack.
I'm throwing it back on Chat Jeeps.
Yeah.
I would like you to look into the Shoemaker Levy impact for me at some point.
The what?
The Shoemaker Levy impact. It was I think it was a broken up comet that plunged into Jupiter in the 90s. And the explosions were as big as Earth, I believe. And it was witnessed by telescopes.
It's probably the reason we're still here, because we need things like Jupiter in the outer reaches of the solar system to just lap these things up, these Earth-sized explosions. Yeah, just have a few of them. We probably don't want to be on Ganymede, really, because...
Do you know when they talk about like we're in a Goldilocks solar system?
Yeah.
One of the things, so like the things you need for life as we know it.
Yeah.
One of them is like, for example, the moon is something you need to create seasonal variation and tides. That's a very important part for life to evolve the way we know it.
The way we know it.
And you need the Earth to be on an axis again for seasons and things, because you need that contrast, cold to hot, for that variability to arise. And you need a large planet on the outside, like a Saturn or a Jupiter, to act as a bouncer.
A shield.
Yeah. It will suck up all the sort of debris and other things. It will suck it into its gravitational...
And that's good, is it?
That is good. It clears it out. Protects it, acts as a bouncer.
I'm under the impression that Jupiter's predominantly gas, right?
But it's still mass.
So if it takes on all these extra things, this matter, because it would be attracting things because it's quite large. It makes me wonder how moons on Jupiter work, like why they're not just crashing into it, eventually.
Because they're in a stable orbit.
Yeah, all right. I don't know how stable it can be with that fucking thing. Is Ganymede like the size of Earth, or how big's Ganymede? It might be small, actually.
I don't know.
If they're small,
big.
It makes
There's
more
some
sense.
big ones,
but if they're small,
no, they're
makes
big.
A little bit makes
they're
sense.
quite big,
right?
Like they're similar to, like, some of them bigger than Mercury.
Yeah. Little
I mean,
Mercury.
our moon's bigger than Mercury.
Jeez.
And Pluto's tiny. Like, so it's weird because some of these moons are...
It's not even a planet.
Yeah, I think they're bringing it back.
Nah.
I think it goes in and... No, it depends on the definition of planet. It depends on what definition of planet is adopted.
They'll just come up with a new term. This is a planetoid or whatever. They've probably got that already.
Sorry, it's still thinking. It hasn't actually figured out...
What, it hasn't figured out the afterlife yet?
Not yet.
Jesus Christ.
It's reviewed 17 sources, though.
Jesus.
I mean, how many do you need? That should be enough, shouldn't it?
2 or 3, I would have thought. Yeah, I don't know, 17. I mean, I'd love it to just think about it for a really long time and just go, look, it's highly unlikely. I wouldn't worry about it. Yeah, look, I don't think so.
So what's... did you hear about the warship in North Korea? Probably popped up in your feed at some point.
Yeah, didn't it get damaged?
It had an unsuccessful launch. It fell over and did a lot of damage. It's been badly damaged during its launch ceremony. And Kim Jong-un condemned the accident as a criminal act that has tarnished the country's dignity, and officials responsible will be dealt with, in inverted commas, next month.
Wow.
I did see a pop-up saying that there's been 3 arrests made.
Wow,
he blamed military officials, scientists, and shipyard operators for what he described as, quote, a serious accident and criminal act caused by absolute carelessness, irresponsibility, and unscientific empiricism.
What is that?
Yeah, I have like empirical data, and apparently it's capable of handling nuclear-capable ballistic missiles, this warship. It was probably the US sabotaged it, put a penny underneath the rails.
Like, how do we know what's going on?
Because
they're not the type to like go on state media and go, "Hey, everybody, just letting you know that we tried to do a big launch today and it didn't go too well." So just satellite imagery or something.
Yeah. No, they found it. Yeah, they found it on its side in water. So South Korea obviously has a vested interest in monitoring the activities of North Korea.
Yeah.
And and I mean, obviously Kim Jong Un's come forward and said these things, so it was obviously well known enough that he responded.
Just crazy how little we know. I always liked that Shane Smith when he went into North Korea, when he snuck in. Well, no, he didn't sneak in. I think he went.
Who is it? Shane Smith.
Well, he's like the founder of Vice. Vice
okay.
Mag.
You don't want to be a reporter in North Korea, do
That's
you?
what he was doing, yeah. So you kind of have to pretend you're not a reporter.
No.
Yeah. Pretty scary.
That's like being undercover.
Yeah.
In a criminal organization.
Being like shadowed as well by government officials the whole time you're there. Not shadowed, like they're just walking you around. You get a full tour. You could do it, man. You could do it. Bucket list?
I don't want to go to North Korea.
Oh, well. Worth a shot. The ship is designed to carry various weapons, including nuclear missiles. Oh, good.
What I find funny is the demilitarized zone between North Korea and South Korea is factually the most militarized zone on the planet.
Right, you think the name's wrong. You think
Completely
they should call
wrong.
it? You think they should call it the militarized zone?
This is
'Cause that's
like,
what it
yeah,
is.
it's one of those. That's what it is.
Yeah.
There is more soldiers and armaments pointing at each other than anywhere else on the planet. Yeah, they have a room which isn't armed where they meet and can exchange
it's half in
documents and
north
things.
and half in south. That conference room is half in both, which is like it's for all that it is awful. That is kind of nice in a weird way that they've got this, but they had to build a room that was half on their land and half on so that they could meet. That's not good terms, is it? Like when you're coming to the table and going, "Hey guys, we've got an idea. Is it peace?" Nah, it's not peace. It's sort of like a heavily militarized area with a little room in the middle. What do you reckon? And they're like, "Yeah, sounds all right." I mean, that sort of stifled peace in my opinion, because you've gone, so what's the plan? We're just going to have blokes on our end, blokes on your end. So is there a treaty? Are we at war right now? Are we not at war? Like, what's going on? And when they go there, they'll get warnings and stuff. Don't look at the glass. Like, don't make any hand gestures or whatever, because you could spark World War III. You know what I mean? They do all that sort of spiel if you go to the DMZ. I've got a friend who's been to the DMZ.
Really?
Yep.
I'd love to go.
Yeah, it just sounds like a nice getaway, doesn't it? Just a nice little getaway to the DMZ.
I wouldn't defect like that ex-US soldier did. Ran across the boundary and defected to North Korea, and
There's been a few of them.
don't think that worked out too well for him.
Yeah.
Do you follow the NBA much?
Not much.
Also, I'll just mention, I think my character, my animes, is a little bit jumpy because I'm searching. Oh, we've got. Okay, here we go. ChatGPT has now finished its review of all the evidence available.
Right, a few sources cited. Yep.
Okay, I kind of want the
TLDR,
the summary of it.
Yeah.
But I'll give you the sense of I'll give you the first kind of chapter paragraph.
Yeah, have a read.
Recent, just so you get the flavour of what it's.
Let's see what it's
the
up
angle
to.
it's taken. Recent brain research has recorded surprising activity during the dying process. For example, Michigan medicine scientists detected a burst of high-frequency gamma waves in patients moment after cardiac arrest. These waves appeared in brain regions linked to perception, open brackets, hot zones of consciousness, close brackets, even as the heart stopped, suggesting the brain may be briefly aroused in its final moments. Ooh.
I think it's going,
where's the heart? A boner.
No, it sounds like it's going, where's the heart at? Where's the heart at? Oh shit, here we fucking go.
This is a tenuous link. Some researchers speculate this hints at consciousness persisting separately from the body.
Yeah. Yes.
Pania, this is one of the researchers, predicts that in coming decades we will recognize consciousness as not produced by the brain, implying it doesn't die when you die. While tantalizing, such findings are far from proof of an immortal soul. They do, however, challenge the assumption that awareness simply vanishes at clinical death. That's
Interesting,
useless.
right? Interesting that it threw the word soul in there. For consciousness to continue, it doesn't require a soul. It's not like the soul is the new body for the consciousness. You know what I mean? That's what they're trying to say. They're like, oh, well, souls have consciousness. Them saying consciousness could go on. You don't need to introduce the soul. But don't
Abrahamic faith.
just for argument there. There's that old saying, running around like a headless chook, because famously, I think chickens can run around without a head. Have you heard that one? You heard tell of that? Is that real, or is that just what they tell you?
That's real.
So in that case, it sounds like the body's living on after consciousness.
I think the argument against that is just that the body is reacting on instinct and muscle memory
Without a brain?
without a brain, and it's just doing it
Trying?
without thinking.
Just trying?
Yeah. It's like just kind of doing things.
Flight mode. But even fight or flight, even that mechanism is in your brain. It's not in your arm or your leg. It's in your brain. So I'm very confused. I'm very confused by that. Why aren't they citing that, the headless chook, as a means to say, look, it's still moving, it's got no brain, therefore consciousness, maybe it's still going and still affecting the chicken's body. You know what I mean? Like, no one's saying that.
This is sort of interesting. Reincarnation memories. So this is anecdotal and experiential evidence.
Grouse.
Parapsychologists like Ian Stevenson have documented children who spontaneously remember past lives. These young children, typically aged 2 to 5, describe names, places, or personalities of deceased people with whom they have no obvious contact. In compelling cases, independent investigation has confirmed many of the child's statements about a real person's life and death. For instance, one US boy named James reported being a World War II pilot and matched factual details of a downed flyer's story. Often the children have unexplained birthmarks or phobias that correspond to wounds or deaths of the previous person. While controversial, such cases raise intriguing questions about memory and consciousness.
Yeah, okay, I got a question for you. There's 7 billion people kicking around right now. So are these all fresh?
Maybe?
Are these all fresh souls, or are these all reincarnated people? Because surely we're getting some freshies in, because we're the largest the population's ever been. So how does reincarnation work with a growing population? Tell me.
Oh, you're moving up the pyramid. They think humans at the top, and you might be like a really successful dog, and then you get upgraded into a human.
But that still doesn't fix the whole. There's more bodies than souls in humanity.
Yes. So souls,
if I die and I become,
souls are getting moved up from other
old
animals.
mate who was a kid and then a World War II pilot, he didn't go back to being a dog. He stayed as a human, right? He reincarnated as a human.
Yes.
So I die, right? And now I'm coming back though, right? And we're all gonna die. So the 7 billion people that die, we need 7 billion fresh bodies, right, to inhabit. But the population's 14 billion now. So where these other 7 billion come from?
That dies,
mate,
becomes a human.
Oh, mate. So what about the lowest forms of life? See, if we're going to go with that, the infinite regression states that I should be able to find no life at some point. And where did that come from?
Yeah, if there's more, I think if I'm going to make up how reincarnation works.
Yeah, the hierarchy.
Yeah, I'm going to say that, let's say there's 10 billion, let's just make up 10 billion total animals that you could possibly be. Let's just say, 1 billion of them are humans, 2 billion of them are ants, 500 million's an elephant, and then 1 year, and then the next year there's 11 billion. So you need to find another billion souls to populate these new animals. I'm going to say that 1 human could degrade into 2 ants. Perhaps.
So how does that ant...
His consciousness gets split.
So this ant now that's only half a consciousness gets
like a twin.
Gets promoted back. Yeah.
Yeah, if he
So
does
now
all
what?
the things ants
Yeah,
are
but
supposed to
the
do,
other ant doesn't. So he's still a split consciousness. It's a weird one.
it's like a twin. It's like having two twins, but you go on doing your own thing.
Trippy.
You become like a. Then you might have like a memory. You go, oh, my other
That's
twin
the
is an
thing.
ant
No one says, oh, I've got past memories of being an ant. But everyone's a World War II pilot or they're Jesus. You know what I mean? There's no guy going, yeah, I was a dog and I was an ant for a bit and then I was a dog again. No, but that's fascinating. If a 2-year-old was saying, I was in the war, I'd be like, really? All right, tell me your name. And if they told me a whole bunch of stuff and then I looked it up, and that would be compelling.
with it not proof.
Circumstantial,
but it'd be
but
compelling.
It's still compelling.
Let's take it less philosophical. Yeah, so have you been following the NBA? Because I want to touch on this real quick.
Yeah, let's do it. I haven't. No,
Oh,
I
wait.
already said I haven't, but let's change it up. Yes, I've been keeping up with it.
Did you hear about the Luka trade earlier in the year?
Of course,
You
it
must
was
have
the
heard
biggest
about the Luka
sport news
trade,
of the decade. Yeah, no, huge.
And absolutely inexplicable. Like more inexplicable than whether there's an afterlife or not. I find that stuff more compelling. To trade that, firstly, NBA stars don't get traded in their prime.
He's a
The
franchise
last
player.
time-
He's a franchise player.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The last time it happened was actually Anthony Davis in 2019. He wanted to go though. Davis, the guy that Luka got traded for this time in a direct swap. About 6 years ago, 2019, he wanted to go somewhere. I think he went straight to the Lakers. I don't recall his history, but to make that trade happen, let's see what they actually got for him. What was the...
Well, if you type in Anthony, you're going to get the Luka trade if you do that.
That's why I asked what the 2019 Anthony Davis trade was.
Yeah.
So this is an example of what happens when you trade a superstar in their prime, okay? And so whilst this is loading, it is completely inexplicable because now Davis is quite old. He's in his early 30s.
Yeah.
A little bit injury prone.
Yeah, big men often are.
And you're trading someone who's been all Australian, all NBA
Australian.
first team
Yep.
the last 5 of the 6 years. He's one of the greatest players in the NBA. It's such a bizarre. I've talked to some guys that follow basketball, and I'm like, man, this seems
I've talked to friends who are Mavs
strange.
fans. They didn't understand it at all. They couldn't understand
Don't understand it. Couldn't understand it. It's so inexplicable. Anyway, the plot thickens because the Mavs just didn't make finals this year because their team was after being in the NBA finals, i.e. the championship game last year with Luka, right? They trade the superstar they built the whole team around for relative garbage. No offense, Anthony Davis. So this again, they made the championship team. They improved their team over the offseason.
Yeah.
To trade him makes absolutely no sense. You're not improving your
Unless
team.
the guy's got a fucking hat, a little magical hat, and the magical hat told him that it's all going to work out pretty good. Like this is going to be fine.
Yes, that is a good explanation for it.
As in, no, but I remember being a fan of the Eagles back in the mid-2000s. When they traded Judd, I thought they were the biggest morons
He wanted
in
to
the
go.
world.
He wanted
I
to go.
still
Luka
thought-
didn't want to go.
Well, that's crazy, right? But as a fan back then, not being in the know and not being as connected as we were back then to its, in social media, you didn't have access to the players and the clubs like you do today. When he got traded,
this
that
is
was
where
a
it gets
nightmare
weird.
for Eagles supporters.
Yes,
we
yes.
thought it
No,
was,
it
we thought it
certainly
was the end of the world.
But we got the number 1 pick.
I know, but we didn't
the
know.
number 3 pick. No, we got the 2. No, I'm saying we got 2 first-round draft picks and a first-round player, being Josh Kennedy, who turned out to be one of the
Coleman
greatest
medalist,
goalkeepers.
yeah.
I know that's in hindsight, but you still got someone the Eagles wanted. You got 2 first-round draft picks. You just did a direct swap. If you went to the market with this trade, they reckon you could have got 10 first-round draft picks.
Wow.
You should have. So when Anthony Davis went, they got Lonzo Ball, who's a big name, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, don't know who he is. Brandon Ingram's good as well. So decent players, but I can't speak to how good they are. 4th overall pick in the 29th first round. They got 4 first round picks and 3 players for Anthony Davis. That's the last time you had a superstar traded. Now, the reason I say the plot thickens is no one can explain this trade to me at all. And then the Mavs just miss out on finals. They've got the smallest percent in the NBA lottery of 1.8%. You know how the NBA lottery works?
That's for the draft, right?
The draft for the first pick.
Yeah.
You have balls that go into the lottery.
Yeah, it's not just given to the people who are on the bottom of the ladder, like in
It's
AFL.
to stop tanking.
Yeah, it's to stop people
tanking.
Yep. You're not guaranteed the number one.
And they do the lottery behind closed doors, so they don't publicize how it works. The Mavs got the first pick.
No.
They did.
How?
Bullshit. I'm calling this reeks. This is like a... Who was the guy that was murdered in prison?
Got to be more specific than that.
Maxwell. Ghislaine Maxwell's...
Epstein.
This is an Epstein situation. This reeks to high hell.
What was the percentage
Something
again?
is going on here. 1.8%.
1.8%. Oh, man. The gambler in me says it's possible.
No, it's possible. It's not that, but it's when you actually pair that with this inexplicable trade. Something to me is going on.
Something's fishy. Something's off, and he's not.
Something's very fishy. Something's very fishy.
You're not happy with it.
I can still believe the 1.8% chance in the lottery. I don't know if that percentage is right, but they had the smallest chance you can get because they just missed out on finals. It's the trade to me. It just reignited how upset I was or how confused I was about the trade.
Wow, that'll be interesting.
They say it's by far the most shocking trade in NBA history.
That's
the punters say about it.
But the winning on one, like on the chance of 2%, that's crazier.
No, it's not crazier. This just reinflamed my sort of confusion.
They think it would look this. Well, if you think this looks dodgy, imagine how they feel about it. They know it. They know it looks bad or that it looks unlikely. But it happened, I guess. Everything's above board. That is the show for this week. We'll be doing this again, same place, same time next week. Nate,
thanks for your time, Val.
Rock and roll. We will see you next time.